Morning, this is Dave T1963, and I wanted to do a quick update now that hunting season's been going on for a while. I personally have really settled into what I'm going to call my mobile hunting system. I know that's the N word, now is mobile hunting, but really I just look at this. This is my system. This is the system when I'm going to go saddle hunting that I'm going to carry out in the woods. And I made a few changes from my original video because I was kind of toying around with 2 or 3 different setups, and I just settled on this for several reasons. One, it's so versatile. I have the ability to hunt from a saddle and hang facing to the tree where it's appropriate, or I can use this as a tree stand and use my saddle as a safety harness. And so what it has allowed me to do is really set up in any tree and take advantage for strong side shooting so I don't have to make a lot of movement. There's some trees that set up to where it works best for a saddle, and that's my preferred way. But there's other trees, due to branches and stuff like that, not being able to trim shooting lanes, that it works better that I sit in front of the tree to where I can take a shot off to my strong side. So this system allows me the flexibility to set up perfectly for my shooting a trad bow to my strong side. And that's why I went with this. And it really don't add a whole lot of weight. I've kind of set the Predator platform aside, and I'm using this Lone Wolf custom gear as both my backpack and as my platform, whether I'm saddle hunting or I use it as a stand. This thing is incredible. Now, it's not a huge stand, and some people might think that it don't have enough room, but the way I've been using it, whether I'm sitting, standing as a traditional stand, or I'm using it as a saddle platform, it's more than big enough for me. So that's the stand I'm using. One of the things that I did, I bought the Lone Wolf custom gear pack, and it's a great pack. It does everything it's supposed to do, but for me it was just too noisy. The zippers, there was opening morning, I went out and I carried that pack out there, and those zippers were way too loud for me. And I realized you're only having to open it once to get in there and stuff, but even getting stuff in and out, that pack, to me, getting it off the stand with the buckles, you know, putting it on the tree, unzippering it, putting things in it, it just was too noisy for me, and it was a tad bit small when I wanted to carry camera gear. So I'm going back to using my Kathy Kelly pack, and I'll show you how all this works together, and it works together perfectly fine. I started out the season really using the tethered 1 sticks, and I like them. There's nothing wrong with them. They're very lightweight, compact. There's a lot of things I like about those tethered 1 sticks, and I'll probably go back to using them more. But for now, I'm using the Beast. I'm not sure. I think these are 20 inches. Hang on. These are the 18-inch Beast sticks. And I've got the Amstel. I don't use the daisy chain. I use the Amstel mod. These just work. These Beast sticks grab onto trees. Where I found the advantage in the Beast sticks was on really severe leaning trees or twisting trunks and stuff like that. The tether just didn't bite into the tree as well as these. Now, if it's a preset tree and I know what I'm doing, you know, I think I'll prefer the tethered 1 sticks. But when I'm going in, scouting my way in, finding a tree on the fly, not knowing what tree I'm going to need to set up in, these Beast sticks, because of how well they bite onto the bark on twisted trunks or leaning trunks, are getting the nod for me right now. So let me show you a couple things that I've done. One of the things I did not like about this 0.5 was, you know, you have to get both seat cushions. That first seat cushion is just way too thin. So I wound up getting both. But when you use the top seat and you move around on it, it rubbed against that other pad and it made a lot of noise. So what I did, I took a gray washcloth, something we all have, and I just put that in between my 2 seat pads, ended the problem. So that's what I've got. I'm not going to take this apart right now, but you can see it. It's right there. I did put some paracord. I didn't do any kind of fancy wraps or anything. I just wrapped it around the edges of my stand, just so that if I'm tipping my bow a little bit, it don't clank on the sides. And then I did stealth strip, you know, parts of it, the cable, the buckle, and stuff like that. But let me show you how easy and how well this system goes together, because you don't have to have that Lone Wolf Custom Gear pack to make this system work perfectly fine. This shelf is still very usable. I take the B-sticks, I put the tree standoffs facing out, and I simply lay them on the seat. I butt them up against the post. Both of these are stealth strip. And then I put the Versa button right up against the post like that. That's it. Now, what I do is I put this out in the wood, and you'll see that, you know, when it's on a hard surface, it's going to sit above the seat, but that's okay for now. I then simply take my Kathy Kelly pack and put it in between the steps and the standoff like this. That's all I do. Once I get it like this, I just lay this flat on the ground. That's all I'm doing. Then I've got two bungee cords that I pre-measured and pre-made that simply go onto the platform, go across, and hook to the top of the stand. I do the same thing with this one. I kind of weave this one in between the seat and the standoffs, go across the pad in the opposite direction, hook it to that. There you go. That's my setup. I've been using this and carrying this in the woods. It's very compact. It just barely goes past my frame, so I'm not snagging it on a lot of brush. It's got a very low profile to where if you're bending over, it don't get way above your head. There's nothing sticking down below, like when you carry yours to snag on when you're stepping over logs and stuff. You know, I've been doing this a while. I absolutely love this setup. This setup is allowing me to do a lot more mobile scouting, getting in there. This pack is dead quiet. So even if I'm rubbing against brush, it's absolutely quiet. The zippers on the Kathy Kelly pack are those MKY zippers or whatever, and they're extremely quiet. Way more quiet than the Lone Wolf Custom Gear pack. So, man, I'll tell you, I can't find one fault in this system. I absolutely love this. And like I said, it's 3 different manufacturers. So you got Dan Infalt's Hunting Beast making the sticks. You've got the guys at Lone Wolf Custom Gear making the stand. And you got Kathy Kelly making a 100% fleece pack. For me and how I hunt, slipping into areas, setting up and stuff like that, this is just a perfect mobile hunting system. So, once again, I just wanted to make this video to kind of update. I didn't want to lead anyone astray. There's nothing wrong with the Wolf pack. It's a great pack. It's going to work for a lot of people. For my application, it just didn't work well. Maybe the guys over at Lone Wolf Custom Gear will come out with something a little bit more quieter, and I'll look into that. Nothing wrong with the tethered 1 sticks. I absolutely love those sticks. I love how easy that Amstel goes on that locking mechanism on there. The only thing I wish was a little bit better, I wish it grabbed a tree like the B sticks. If they could figure that out, if they could get those standoffs to where they really grab the tree on those leaning trees a little bit more, that would be my stick, because it is a lot lighter. It makes this system, and I still carry that, and I carry the sticks the same way. I kind of go in between the B sticks and that. And as far as Dan Infalt's B sticks, I can't find a single fault with them at all. The strap probably does work better, quicker. Sometimes this Amstel, the way I use it, you have to push the stick up when you're trying to release it and untie the knots. Takes a little bit of time, but I'm willing to pay that price for how quiet Amstel is. But there's nothing wrong with using the buckles. I think the daisy chains work. They work really well on straight up and down trees. Where I had issues with daisy chains was not being able to get that extremely tight on leaning or crooked trees or twisted, where the trunk's actually twisted. There's a high spot here and a high spot here. I just think the strap and being able to really tighten that Amstel on a rope mod work better than a daisy chain. But you know, if you're in an area where you're hunting primarily straight trees, maybe daisy chains will work better for you. I like this system because I can go, I have 100% confidence now that I can walk out into the woods and find a spot. And if there is a tree to be had to hunt out of, I don't care if it's this big around or this big around, I can hunt it with this system. Whether it's straight, leaning, crooked, twisted, whatever, I can climb the tree safely with the sticks and not have to worry too much about kicking anything out. I will say that climbing up and down the trees is probably the place where if something's going to go wrong, that's where it's going to be. So once again, learn to use that lineman's belt. On those really iffy trees where you're going up and you're having to climb crooked, gnarly, twisted trunk trees and getting up, use your tether and your lineman's belt. I know it takes longer. I know that. But how effective are you going to be if you fall 20 foot? That hunt's over for sure, and maybe the rest of your hunts are over. So take the extra time, you know, especially on those, if it's sleeting is another time. A lot of times down here in Texas and Oklahoma, we get sleet before we get snow. So the trunks can get extremely slippery. And in those cases, when I'm climbing up a tree, I'm using both my tether and my lineman's belt. Be safe. But anyway, that's the updated video. This is probably what I'm going to do for the rest of this season. When Dan Infalt comes out with that beast stand, well, I know it's out. When more come in stock, you know, if my job don't go away, I probably will try that stand. But to be honest with you, I've already got stands that are bigger and stuff like that. This 0.5 in what I'm doing with saddle hunting and wearing a saddle in the stand, it's just the perfect matchup. It's the perfect size. So maybe Dan will come out with a smaller stand and I'll give that a look. But you know, I'm not one of those people that am loyal to one specific person or brand or whatever. You know, I'm on the Tethered Pro staff, but as you can see, I use some Tethered products and some other manufacturer products. I use what works best for me and how I hunt. And at my age, you know, I'm almost 60 years old, so I'm slowing down a little bit. I'm not quite as nimble as some of these younger guys and stuff like that. So I'm using what works for Dave Toms. This is the system that works for me. I'm not afraid to try new things every year. I mean, this is completely new to me. The Kathy Kelly pack and the longer B sticks aren't so new. But the short B sticks and the 0.5 and using this all in combination with the saddle, that's all new to me. I've always used a platform. And you know what? That's another thing. The Predator platform is phenomenal. There's nothing wrong with that Predator platform. The only thing that this gives me, the Predator don't do me, besides an added 2 pounds, is I can hunt this like a traditional stand. And like I said, there's times I'm in a cedar, a big tall red cedar, and there's branches everywhere. But I can tuck my stand into where I can have one shot shooting out. Whereas if I was hanging in the saddle this way, I have so many branches, the only shot I would have would be able to set up and shoot directly backside of me. Which I've done 100 times, you know, and I'll tend to lean against the branch like that and then shoot that way. And it can be comfortable, but this just gives me that flexibility to be able to set up as a traditional stand when the situation calls for it. That's the only advantage this has over the Tethered Predator platform. And like I've demonstrated in videos before, you can use the Tethered Predator platform like a stand. I did it all the time in the last few years. So you can do that. This just gives me a bigger platform to hunt like a traditional stand, and I can sit on a seat. And what I really like about this is it also replaces a frame pack and gives me the ability to carry all this. And if I shoot a deer, I could bone it out and carry it out on this stand, or take a quarter out on a time, or whatever. Take extra filming gear, whatever. This stand will hold a lot. And as someone pointed out in one of my other videos, no, it don't replace a pack frame. It's not going to ever be as comfortable as a pack frame. But this will carry a large weight, a large load out of the woods. So like I said, this works for me. If you got any comments or questions, drop them in below. if they're going to be stupid bashing certain brands and stuff like that, go somewhere else. I'm not going to even waste my time. I'm just going to delete those comments. This is what I use. Take it for what it's worth. Dave T1963 out.